Sacramento, I'll protest. Yes, because I came with my own manifesto. So you are analog and I'm digital. People call them America. I would like to humbly stand on already established protocol to just give a short testimonial, but I will tell you a story. I think I enjoy it. I hope you're ready to hear my short story. Okay. This is dialogue. If you know we don't have money to give to staff as loans, our main focus is to keep the station running. I don't recall what I said in response, but it was an outright no. I was asking for a car loan at the office, but my request met a brick wall. I felt sad because I didn't bargain for that. Why then did I reach for the stars back in the university? By the way, my name is Ify Aronu-Okafor. Ify Aronu-Okafor still on Facebook, but some people who are already looking me up. And I'm here to share the full transcript. I'll actually share the full transcript of all of this. I won't read out everything. I'll share it on my Facebook wall for those who want to read it in time. I made a first class in mass communication at Anambra Broadcasting Service, and that academic record was in 2013. Presently, I'm the only female. There are actually 3 persons. The only person who made a first class before me, it was the disputed first class. You know, a lot of times, then they said they didn't have equipment. So how can somebody make a first class? So mine was the first undisputed first class from the department, and I'm presently the only female. We are just 3. And so, during our orientation, somebody said it's not possible to make a first class, and that person happened to be a lecturer at my department. But guess what? I promised my dad, my mom, my friend who later became my husband that I was going to make the first class, and I did. So when the person I was working with at that time said I couldn't get a car loan, I was demoralized. I felt really bad. But then, this is just part of my initial story. And even at that time, there was a time when the former governor, Okoye, shared 1 million to persons who made the first class. I didn't get it because my result wasn't yet out. We're mobilized for youth service after that period. And that was when there was this prolonged ASU strike and Ebola also struck. But then I went to Ibadan, where I worked for youth service. I was retained at Splash FM. That was my place of primary assignment. And then later, I came back to Anambra when I settled down. And I started working at ABS. Now the salary that was paid at the state government-owned broadcast media house in ABS in 2017, it wasn't satisfactory. But that was not the salary scale again. Nobody could change that. And there was no other station in Okoye that I could go to at the time. So I felt so bad that my request was turned down. So shortly, I got called up to Lagos. I did not apply for the job, I don't know. But what I did at ABS, you might want to learn a thing or two from me, is that wherever I am, even though the money was not satisfactory, but I did not show it. If I snap a picture, you won't know my salary, right? Except I tell you. So I was putting my work out there. That was how the recruiters from Lagos saw my work and decided that I could work with them. So they called me and I decided to go. Thank God for my husband who let me go. So I moved to Lagos, resumed work, and also left my MSc that I had started in university. Guess what? The first time I applied for MSc was in Ibadan. And I got that admission, but then I got married and came back. Started another one in music and had to also leave it to go to work in Lagos because money is important, right? I wanted to be able to take care of myself. I didn't want to be Oriako. Okay, but when I got to Lagos, did I stop posting on social media about my work? No way. Even in Lagos, I knew that I hadn't arrived. My sisters, my brothers, I do not arrive. Can you tell yourself that? Say, I don't arrive. I don't arrive. I'm on a journey. So I kept sharing content on social media about my work in Lagos. And then I applied for another master's at the University of Lagos. Did I get it? Yes, I did. But then, soon enough, I got another phone call. This time, guess who was on the phone? Who will guess? You know? No, he doesn't. Okay, who? Who was on the phone? Tell me, just do it from there. It was the Commissioner for Information, Anambra State, Mr. Sidon Adenoba. And he said, the governor wants you back in the state to work with him. And then, after speaking with him, I put a call through to the Commissioner for Basic Education, who happened to be my head of department back in mass music. And then we began talking. And so, some months prior, I left Anambra after resigning from my position as a presenter at ABS. And I came back in February, just a few months down the line, as an SSA to the governor. Then I soon became very close to the commissioner. I became his favorite SSA because he liked my work ethics. Even here and now, I have already written something about this event. That is how I work. Everywhere I go, I cannot just sit down and be watching people. I am media, even in my blood. So, I was putting in hours at ABS aside working with the ministry. And then the commissioner said to me, even things he didn't want to mention, he started saying them. Do you know that it was Mark Okoye that mentioned your piece to the governor during ESCO? That was Sidon talking. We were having our usual lengthy conversation at his office months after I resumed work. He saw the surprised look on my face. And then he said, you don't know? I could only say, how come Mark Okoye? Because the only time I ever had a physical interaction with Commissioner Mark Okoye seated here was at ABS while I was a presenter of the Saturday morning show. I didn't even get to interview him that day. He came for a sports show. I guess he was supposed to feature briefly on my show, but that didn't happen. Before he left, I actually went to greet him. And we didn't even say much, he was with other people. But prior to that time, I didn't even know we had such a youthful commissioner. I did not know. I was very impressed to learn that, so I looked him up on Facebook and sent a friend request. I could see his post after a while, and that meant that he accepted my friend request. So when I left for Lagos, there was a day I spotted someone on VR, and the person looked so like him. You know, I called you, and I asked if you were in Lagos, and he said he wasn't. You know, we didn't even get to discuss why I left Anambra and all of those issues. The opportunity never happened. And to hear that he presented my case at ESCO for that matter. He didn't need to do that, but he did. All he needed to know, he didn't need to know me to do that, because he didn't know me. All he needed to know was that I am a talented young lady who desired to contribute to the growth of the state media apparatus, but lacked the enabling environment to do that optimally. That was all he needed to know. Sidon told me that the discussion at ESCO at that time was that people were resigning from ABS, and the governor was improving the station at the same time, so they were wondering why people were moving away. So they needed to know what to do to keep the best hands on board. Now, the conversation was almost concluded when Mark Okoye hit the bell and told them that a certain lady, Ify Aronu, left for a Lagos-based station because she felt underappreciated at ABS. He was specific. The governor then directed the Commissioner for Information and, of course, Basic Education, Professor Menua, to go get me back from Lagos. Do you know that it was only during an interaction with Mark Okoye during the governorship campaigns that we got to discuss this? He didn't even tell me, because he didn't even want me to thank him. He just did what he needed to do and forgot about it until I brought it up. I didn't have to speak to him every day for him to know my track record. I'm quite sure he was seeing my social media updates. He was following me up even when I didn't know. And I kept doing my passion, not knowing that my destiny helper was taking notes. Mark may not call you daily. I'm talking to everyone. Personally, I'm telling you this. He may not call you daily to ask you what you're up to. We can't begin to imagine how busy he gets. But from my experience, I found that no matter how busy it gets, Mark is watching. Mark is on our marks. Mark will someday specifically mention you, and indeed us are the World Forum. All we need to do is to send him there. Wherever we will need Mark to mention our names for us to get to the heart of our dreams, let us what? Send Mark there. Let's do what? Send Mark there. He will mention your name there like he mentioned mine in Anambra. Well, the title of this testimonial is How I Became an SSA to the Governor, Governor Willie Obiano. My name is Ify Aronu-Okafor. Thanks for your time.
Mark, this testimony, I guess I'm going to go.